Hello, I'm Michaela from learnpolymerclay.com, and as always, I'm doing my best to provide you with fresh inspiration for your work with polymer clay. For today, I have prepared another glass-inspired project, yet I think that you will find these techniques inspiring, at least I hope. I really hope that you will take this inspiration and use it in your work with polymer clay. So this glass-inspired project is based on a technique that is not an image transfer technique nor decoupage technique. It's something in between. So we are going to use a Mod Podge and an inkjet printed image to decorate our polymer clay beads. We are going to use nail art foils again to decorate the beads as well. And in order to enhance and to achieve the glass-like effect, we are going to use triple thick gloss glaze. So this is kind of the project. These are the kind of beads that you are going to make using this technique. Also, I've used some 8mm wire to make a frame for the beads, and I think it holds the beads. If you don't go for the idea of making the bead in two parts and putting the beads together and sandwiching the wire in between, I think it's even easier to cut the bead from a double layer polymer clay sheet, and you have an even nicer shape than this little bit wavy shape that I got here. And in order to stick, to glue the nail art foils to the polymer clay, this time I used sticky embossing powder, and let's say that it worked pretty nice. So these are the images that I printed on my inkjet printer. I played a little bit with an image, with a copyright-free image. And then I decided to work with small flowers with bright colors. And so this is the design, the finished design. So as I said, the triple thick gloss glaze will give you this gloss-like effect. But I don't know, you can use resin or a different type of gloss to seal your beads, or even you can leave them sealed with the layer of Mod Podge. I don't know, it's up to you. So I hope that you will find these techniques and ideas inspiring, and I hope that you will use them in your work with polymer clay. Thank you. So I started by making a frame to put together the beads. I'm using 8mm wire, and I think it's sturdy enough to hold the beads and to create a beautiful neck piece in the end. So I cut the desired length of wire, and I try to cut the double of what I thought I would need to go around the neck, because I'm going to make a lot of loops, so I need extra length to make such loops. I'm using the back of the craft knife as a mandrel to make a loop. And I'm using the flat nose pliers to flatten the loop, let's say. And I will use the round nose pliers to make loops. I'm going up and down around the round nose pliers, and then again I'm using the flat nose pliers to flatten the design. So as you can see, I have a neck piece, and I'm checking against the next piece to see where I'm at and what should be the final length of the necklace, so it sits perfectly around the neck. It's very easy to work with 8mm wire and to wrap it like that. I'm testing this idea, but I think this will hold the beads because the beads are made from polymer clay, so they are light. And I think that the wire is strong enough to keep its shape. This is my test idea for the loops and for the design. And I think it's gonna look nice in the finished piece. Well, I hope. And I finished by making a loop on the other side of the design, and I'm trying to make a kind of clasp. So that I will be able to attach the wire and hang it around the neck. I'm using flat nose pliers to flatten the piece design, to shape it. And to give it a form that will sit nicely around the neck. And so this is the frame that I am going to use to put the pieces together. I like wire very much, and I think wire is a great medium to work with, especially if you combine it with polymer clay pieces. So I have conditioned white polymer clay. I'm working with 100% opacity Cernit polymer clay. And I passed it through the pasta machine, through the thickest setting of my pasta machine. And then I fold it in half. I'm working with a double layer. I'm using a round cutter. And I'm using my fingers to smooth out the edges of the piece. I'm using a smaller round cutter to make a hollow, a negative space in the middle of the bead. I'm using baby wipes to clean the white polymer clay. And I will cut out a similar shape, but this time I'm going to use only one layer of polymer clay, and this is going to be the back of the piece, because my idea was to make the two pieces and then capture the wire between the pieces. I would say that in the finished design this piece was a little bit too wavy, so if I had to do it again, I don't know, I would think of a different way to make the beads. I would still use the wire frame, but I don't know, I would make holes in the sides and put the wire through the bead, or I don't know, I wouldn't go for this idea of making the piece in using two pieces, one for the front, one for the back. Or if I would still go for this idea, I would make the front, I will put it on a flat surface, on baking paper, of course. I will put the wire on top. I would press it into the clay, so I would make an impression for the wire. I would bake the front of the bead, the first layer, and then I would apply a second layer of raw polymer clay, and I would make the back of the bead, and I would bake the piece a second time. And I think by doing so, I would have a nice flat shape for the beads. Let's say that in the final design the piece is not terrible. It looks a little bit organic, but I like more elegant and nice looking pieces, so I would go for a different way of making the beads if I would have to do it again. But I think the most important part and the most inspiring part of this tutorial is not really, it doesn't reside in the making of these beads, which are very simple beads. It's mostly in the image transferring decoupaging technique, which is interesting, and it opens new possibilities for you for using your home inkjet printer, and the possibility of printing any image of your choice, the image of your choice, and use it to embellish your beads. It's not an entirely image transfer technique, it's not a decoupage technique, it's something in between. But I think it's a great idea to have this possibility to embellish your beads using any copyright-free image that you print out and your inkjet printer. And the best option when you print out your images. As you can see, I'm using a texture sheet to texture the back of the beads. I'm doing my best to keep my polymer clay white. And this is the neck piece before putting it into the oven. Then I baked it for 30 minutes at the temperature recommended by the polymer clay manufacturer. And as I said, I'm working with Cernit. For a different brand of polymer clay, I would recommend you to leave your pieces for, I don't know, 45 minutes. And then I'm using a March podge. I'm using March podge to make, as I said, sort of a decoupaging image transfer technique, is something in between. I'm using an image, a copyright-free image that I printed on my inkjet printer using the best best printing option. And the legacy of this technique is the fact that you have to tap on the paper and take your time before lifting up the paper. So I added a generous amount of Mod Podge, which is very important because the Mod Podge is going to wet the paper. And then I kept on tapping on the back of the paper until you get to see parts of the design. So it's very important to take your time. And then I just lift off the paper. Don't worry if at this point the image does not look extremely well, because when you are applying a layer of Mod Podge on top of the image, this will work miracles, and you'll have a nice print on the bead. So I'll do the same thing for the round bead. I'm applying a generous amount of Mod Podge. And I'm using the same cutout image with small flowers and bright colors. I would suggest you to use small designs and bright colors. I've tried with dark colors, and it wasn't as beautiful as the result I got with bright colors. So, but it depends of I don't know, the kind of pieces that you want to make. So, but for my taste, I think bright colors work better than dark colors. Light colors work better than dark colors. So again, I'm tapping gently on the paper. I'm taking my time. When I want to lift it up, I'm waiting a little bit more. I'm tapping a little bit more, and finally I decide to lift off the paper, and I finish the image transfer decoupaging technique by applying a thin layer of Mod Podge. So as you can see, the larger bead with the hollow part in the middle was decoupaged, let's say, only half of the bead is decorated with the image. So I decided to apply some white pearlescent Lumiere paint. I thought that this would enhance the glass look on the finished piece. And I applied some on the sides, and maybe it's not a bad idea to apply some on the back to really have a glass-like look on the back of the bead as well. And then you'll have to let it dry, let the Mod Podge dry, let the Lumiere paint dry, and then I will finish the pieces by applying triple thick gloss glaze. But you can apply a different kind of glaze. You can apply resin, of course. Keep in mind that when you are working with triple thick gloss glaze, you might have color differences in the sense that I think that the Mod Podge distorts a little bit the colors in the finished piece, but I didn't consider this a problem, so it never bothered me. And also you will have a less clearly defined image. It has a really a glass-like look when it dries. So the flowers will be less clear than you see them right now. And then I used a stamp and an ink pad, and I'm using sticky embossing powder, and I wanted to try out the idea of gluing nail art foils using sticky embossing powder. So I am using the stamp only because I don't want to put the sticky embossing powder all over the bead. I want to have areas with the foils on top and areas which are not covered with the foils. And I'm using a silver holographic nail art foil, and I'm pressing the foil onto the sticky embossing powder that I melted using the heat gun, of course. And I decided to add a little bit of gold nail art foil. I thought it would give the final bead a glass-like look. So I'm just pressing a little bit the golden foil. And as you can see, it does stick to the bead. So if you already have a sticky embossing powder and a heat gun, you can use this manner, these materials to stick nail art foils to polymer clay pieces. So for the parts that were not covered the first time, I just used the brush and a little bit of ink, and I applied the ink in those areas. Again, I am using the heat gun. I'm melting the sticky embossing powder, and I will apply the foils onto that area. You have to let it a little bit sit, but just a little bit, and then apply the foils, and that will work. So as you can see, they already have a very nice glass and holographic effect. And now I'm trying to flatten the wire, I'm trying to flatten the design, because I'm going to apply the triple thick gloss glaze, and I want the pieces to lay flat. If not, the gloss will drip down on the sides. I think I put a little bit too much glaze. Then I had to do my best to put the extra glaze back into the bottle. And I'm applying a medium, I would say, layer, a medium coat of triple thick gloss glaze. And it's in fact this triple thick gloss glaze that when dried up, will enhance the glass-like design. It acts a little bit like a magnifier. I don't know, it changes the look of the piece, but in a good way, I think. And then you will have to leave it dry for a couple, I don't know, not a couple, maybe more, 5-6 hours. And then it's up to you to decide if you want to apply a second layer. You can do that. I hope that you liked my tutorial. I hope that you like it interesting. I hope that you can stand another tutorial on using nail art foils, that they are a really wonderful medium, material to use and to combine it with polymer clay to make wonderful polymer clay pieces. Thank you.